My child, you thought last night's silence was ordinary, but it carried whispers hidden within the walls. The very structure around you has become a witness to secrets that were never meant to reach your ears. You felt it as a chill, yet ignored it thinking it was just your imagination. The floors you walk on echo differently because something beneath them stirs with energy not of this world. Every step you take is being counted by forces that do not wish you well. The walls are breathing, listening, storing every breath you release. The air itself is tainted with memory, like it has absorbed cries of the past that never left. You may notice sudden heaviness when entering certain rooms, as if unseen hands are pressing against your chest. That pressure is not your fear, it is the warning of heaven. This house is not your shield, my child, it is a stage where truths are trapped waiting to explode. What lies inside is not furniture, not belongings, but a hidden presence determined to break your peace. And heaven is declaring it now before it becomes unbearable. My child, the door you locked so carefully does not guard you the way you believe. There are eyes that pierce through the cracks, watching silently even in your moments of rest. The locks hold no strength against what has already been planted inside. When you leave one room for another, you feel a shift in the atmosphere. That is not emptiness, it is movement, it is the shadow rearranging itself to make space around you. It positions itself closer whenever you are distracted. You've wondered why your sleep has been shallow and restless lately. It is not just fatigue but the battle between your spirit and the spirit tied to the very foundation of this house. The ground under your feet carries stories of betrayal and unfinished cries. Your heartbeat has already recognized it. Every unusual thud, every creak in the middle of silence is the voice of the hidden force. It waits for you to dismiss it so it can claim its control over your thoughts. My child, do not mistake this warning for fear. Fear makes you weak, but this revelation is given to make you strong. When heaven reveals, it means the time of escape has already begun. The windows that frame your home let in more than sunlight. They have become open mirrors through which energies from outside enter uninvited. The very curtains flutter as if pulled by invisible fingers. Sometimes you smell something strange, burnt wood, wet soil, or a metallic sting in the air. These are not accidents, they are traces of what was left behind by someone who once cursed these walls. That curse still lingers, alive, waiting for your attention. Even your own reflection in the mirrors may appear slightly altered when you look at it late at night. That is because another presence attempts to project itself through your image. What you see is not always you. My child, the roof above you carries weight heavier than bricks. That weight is the sorrow of someone who walked here before you, someone who never found peace. And now their memory seeks company in your silence. The voices you sometimes hear when no one is speaking are not echoes, they are invitations. They call to you because they know your soul is sensitive to divine truth. But mixed within them are darker tones, hoping you will open your heart to despair. Do you recall the flicker of lights without explanation? That is no faulty wiring, it is energy clashing between heaven's presence and the shadow that refuses to leave. Each flicker is a silent fight happening where your eyes cannot see. The reason you feel tired even after rest is because your spirit is constantly defending itself. This house drains more than your body. It drains the fire inside you that was meant to rise higher. That is why heaven is stepping in now. My child, your belongings too are not untouched. Objects absorb energy, and some of them have become resting places for sorrow. That necklace you found misplaced, that book falling without reason, each is a sign. The bed where you lay your head remembers every night of unrest. That's why dreams have been heavy, confusing, and filled with people you thought were gone from your life. They are messengers of unresolved cycles still alive in this place. The kitchen, a place meant for nourishment, has absorbed arguments, broken words, and tears. That is why food sometimes tastes strange even when cooked perfectly. Energy cooks alongside ingredients, and here, that energy is polluted. Even the water flowing through the taps carries whispers from underground. It carries fragments of prayers unanswered, of voices silenced. When you drink, you are sharing a memory you never asked for. My child, the stairs you climb are not merely steps. They are reminders of the descent that happened here long ago. Someone lost themselves in grief on those very levels, and now each step remembers it. That is why sometimes you feel heavy while walking upward, as if the house itself resists you moving closer to freedom. It wants you rooted in its shadows. But heaven has declared otherwise, and your steps will soon break this pattern. Do not ignore the sudden chills brushing across your skin when no wind exists. They are not accidents, they are warnings. The house itself tries to keep its secrets, but your spirit cannot be deceived. And listen carefully, heaven will not allow this danger to silence you. The voice of God reaches you now because this is your moment of revelation, your moment of decision. My child, this house was never chosen by accident. You were led here so the hidden truth could finally be uncovered. The darkness thought it could use your presence as cover, but instead your light exposed it. The secrets beneath these floors, behind these walls, and within this air are now trembling. They know you are no longer blind. The house itself quakes at the power of heaven's words flowing through you right now. Even when you feel alone inside these rooms, you are not. Angels have entered, inspecting, guarding, preparing to lead you out. They see what you cannot, and they fight for you silently. But God does not whisper warnings without reason. This is urgent. The danger inside will not stop until it is confronted. And tonight, the veil has been torn open for you to see. My child, the silence of this place is not ordinary silence. It is a silence stitched with old screams that were never released. Every night you hear that ringing in your ears, but it is the memory of this house echoing through you. The paint peeling on the walls is more than just age. It reveals scars of moments when rage and grief left their mark. The very walls carry scratches of energy that refuses to die. Sometimes you walk into a room and instantly feel your body stiffen. That stiffness is not just instinct, it is the clash between your living spirit and the residue of spirit still trapped here. They recognize your light and tremble at it. When you sit in your chair and hear faint knocks, those are not random sounds. They are attempts to gain your attention, to pull your gaze toward the unseen. And yet, heaven will not let you bow down to them. My child, the bed you sleep in is a battlefield. Your spirit wrestles every night against shadows trying to invade your rest. That is why your dreams blur between nightmare and reality. Sometimes you wake with a start, your heart racing. It is not just fear, it is your soul shaking off the grip of what tried to reach you. Even your heartbeat testifies of the fight you are surviving. You might notice how your dreams often repeat certain rooms, certain corridors, or unknown faces. These are not meaningless, they are fragments left behind in this very structure. The house shows you glimpses of its past. But the reason heaven reveals it is not to trap you, but to remind you that what bound others cannot bind you. Your presence here is a declaration that the story will not repeat itself again. My child, notice how animals respond when near your home. Dogs bark at the empty corners, cats refuse to stay in certain areas. They sense what your human eyes overlook. Birds sometimes fly away suddenly, circling above your roof as if disturbed by something unseen. This is creation's cry, warning you that this place holds more than dust and wood. Even nature cannot rest peacefully around it. The heaviness in the air is not only spiritual, it has already begun to affect your body. The random headaches, the sudden dizziness, the cold shivers. They are the signatures of this presence trying to weaken you. Yet heaven does not let you suffer without answer. These signs are only rising because the exposure has begun. The truth can no longer stay buried. My child, there are footprints in this house that no one else can see. They belong to those who once lived here, who never let go of their rage or sorrow. The imprint of their emotions has become alive. You can almost feel it in the floor when you step barefoot. That vibration is the residue of their wandering. The house has memorized them, and in its silence it repeats their steps. Every sudden bang of a door or crash of an object is not random. It is the replay of what once happened here. These echoes refuse to disappear until heaven commands them. And now heaven is commanding them. Your very presence, guided by divine will, has entered to uproot what has hidden here for so long. My child, you may feel restless sitting in certain corners of this house. That is because energy pools there, waiting to attach itself to your spirit. Those places are dens where sorrow nests. Even the walls of the bathroom know the tears that were shed. The sound of running water sometimes grows louder as if joined by another force. This is no accident. The attic above is not empty, though you may see nothing but dust. It is the heaviest chamber of all, storing every forgotten cry. That is why you avoid going there without even knowing why. But hear this, heaven has already entered those hidden places. Even the darkest attic cannot resist the light once God commands it. My child, the shadow inside this house has learned to mimic peace. Sometimes it pretends nothing is wrong, making you believe all is normal. But soon after, unease grips you without reason. That is its deception, its way of lowering your guard. But heaven will not let you be tricked any longer. The veil has been lifted and you can now sense what is real. The ringing phone with no one on the other end, the messages you thought you misread, the sudden chills, they are not coincidences. They are tactics of distraction. They try to pull your mind away from divine guidance. But today, nothing can distract you. The truth has taken root inside your heart and you cannot be fooled. My child, there are whispers in this house that do not come from your lips. You may hear them in the middle of stillness, words without sound yet clear to your soul. They are attempts to speak lies into your mind. The voice tries to convince you of failure, of despair, of abandonment. But these words are not your destiny, they are the echo of the curse resting here. And that curse has met its end. Do not repeat the whispers in your heart. They gain strength only when accepted. Instead, know this: your spirit is stronger, your calling brighter, and heaven has surrounded you. Even as you listen now, angels are silencing those whispers. They cannot outlast divine truth. My child, this house has seen betrayal before. Secrets were exchanged here, promises broken, tears spilled in silence. The ground remembers it all. That is why you sometimes feel sadness for no reason while standing alone. It is not your sadness, it is the residue of what was once lived here. The memory of betrayal lingers in the very air. Yet heaven did not bring you here to inherit sorrow. You were brought to expose it, to break the chain. Your presence is proof that curses cannot stand forever. And even though this house seems heavy now, it will soon testify of freedom. My child, you must know this warning comes with urgency. Do not delay in listening. The house has grown restless because it knows the end of its secret is near. Every creak tonight is louder, every shadow longer, every sound sharper. That is because what hid for years knows its mask has fallen. The presence inside trembles at the power flowing through this message. Your heartbeat races not out of fear, but out of alignment with heaven's rhythm. It beats with divine urgency, urging you to stay awake, stay alert, stay connected. This is no ordinary night, and you are no ordinary soul. My child, the night is not your enemy, but in this house the night becomes a mirror of what hides. The darkness here is not ordinary, it thickens as if trying to smother your spirit. Yet still, you remain lit from within, carrying fire that cannot be quenched. Each time you switch on the lights, they flicker not because of weak current, but because of resistance. The shadows inside cannot stand brightness, even of a bulb, so they react. They hope you will dismiss it as faulty wiring, but your spirit knows the truth. Even the sound of your footsteps echoes strangely. It doesn't match your rhythm because another presence walks in between your steps. It wishes to remain unnoticed, but God has chosen to uncover it. Tonight, heaven declares, you will no longer walk unaware. Every hidden movement will now be revealed before your eyes. My child, your spirit already sensed this long before your mind believed it. That heaviness you felt sitting in the living room was not your imagination. It was the pressure of sorrow embedded deep into the furniture and walls. The chair creaking on its own is not wood shifting. It is the memory of someone once sitting there, replaying itself endlessly. These echoes of the past try to attach themselves to you. But you must understand, you are not here to become a victim. You are here to be the one chosen to end this pattern forever. The house resists, but it cannot win. Every moment of unease you feel is actually heaven's alarm bell warning you. My child, listen carefully when silence grows too deep. That silence is not empty, it is filled with whispers crawling through the cracks. They pretend to be faint thoughts, but they are foreign voices seeking to plant despair. These voices try to convince you that you are alone, unwanted, and abandoned. They try to make you doubt your worth. But I tell you, these are lies crafted to weaken you. When you suddenly feel sadness without cause, it is not yours. It is borrowed sorrow drifting from the rooms that carry unresolved grief. And you are strong enough to recognize the difference. The moment you refuse to accept those feelings as your own, they lose their power. My child, the kitchen where you prepare your food carries stains unseen by eyes. They are not on the walls or tiles, they are stains in the air. Anger once filled that space so strongly that it embedded itself in the atmosphere. That is why sometimes meals lose their taste, even though prepared with care. The food absorbs energy before it reaches your lips. What should nourish you ends up draining you. The utensils falling without reason, the cupboards creaking at odd hours, these are not mechanical faults. They are movements caused by restless forces unable to settle. Yet heaven has already marked that kitchen for cleansing. What once poisoned will soon transform into blessing. My child, the rooms where you rest should be sanctuaries. But here, rest has become a war. Night after night, you wake restless, heart pounding, sweat covering your skin. This is because shadows hover closest when you are most vulnerable. They wait for your eyes to close, hoping to slip into your dreams. That is why nightmares come, filled with faces you barely recognize. These faces are fragments of the house's history, not your own. They approach you because they are desperate to remain alive. But they cannot cross the boundary heaven has drawn. Your breath itself becomes fire that burns them back into silence. My child, the mirrors in this house have seen more than reflections. They have absorbed tears, anger, and secrets never confessed. When you look into them, sometimes you sense a slight shift, that is because they replay shadows behind your eyes. Do not trust what you see in their glass when the night is heavy. What looks like your face may carry traces of another. These are projections of the hidden forces, desperate for recognition. But know this, they hold no authority over you. Their appearance is nothing but a cry for attention. Once exposed, their grip weakens. Even the reflection will soon bow to heaven's light. My child, the basement or ground beneath your house carries weight unspeakable. It is like a chamber storing the grief of the past. That is why the air grows colder the deeper you go. Sometimes you feel dizzy in that space, as if air itself is rejecting you. That dizziness is not weakness, it is heaven alerting you. The ground here does not belong to the curse anymore. The noises from underneath, the thuds, the scratching, the dragging sounds, these are not rodents or wood shifting. They are restless echoes fighting to stay alive. But hear me, my child, they have already lost. My child, even your belongings sometimes seem to move when you never touched them. That missing key, that misplaced paper, that item falling without reason, it is not carelessness. It is a tactic. These forces shift your things to confuse you, to stir frustration. They want you distracted, searching, doubting. But what they don't realize is that heaven sees every attempt. The angels standing near you witness these movements. And every attempt to unsettle you is being recorded in heaven. Justice is not far away. This game of deception is ending sooner than they expect. My child, the attic above is not as empty as you think. It is heavy, soaked with forgotten cries that rise at night. Even dust cannot cover the weight of sorrow stored there. That is why when you think of going up, a chill runs down your spine. That hesitation is your spirit protecting you. It knows what lies within that space. But angels are already climbing those unseen stairs. They are clearing what you cannot touch. Even the highest corner of this house is no longer safe for the shadow. Heaven's fire reaches everywhere. My child, the presence here wanted you weak, distracted, drained. But instead, you are becoming stronger, more alert, more awake. It never planned for this. Every creak in the floor, every flicker of the bulb, every chill of air is now backfiring. Instead of fear, they remind you of God's warning. And warnings always come before deliverance. You were never abandoned here. You were chosen. And the one who is chosen cannot be defeated. This house will tremble, but you will stand tall. My child, tonight the air feels heavier than before. It clings to your skin like a warning, refusing to let you ignore it. That weight is not natural, it is the cry of the unseen, pressing closer to be noticed. The walls around you almost breathe, expanding and contracting as if alive. They hold memories of rage, sorrow, and unfinished business. That is why you sense a pulse when resting your palm against them. Even when the house looks still, it is not still at all. The shadows shift just beyond sight, repositioning themselves in corners where your eyes rarely look. They wait, restless and unsettled. But heaven has declared this restlessness will not last much longer. My child, the floor beneath your feet knows more than you realize. Its creaks are not random, they are signals. They respond differently when the shadow passes compared to when you move. Listen closely, and you will notice the distinction. The vibration beneath your steps is steady, but theirs is hollow, echoing from another realm. The house betrays them even when they try to hide. You thought it was just age wearing the wood thin. But what you hear is resistance, your spirit and theirs clashing through the floorboards. The ground has become a battlefield. And yet, it is a battle you are destined to win. My child, notice how sometimes the air suddenly turns colder in one part of the house. That shift is not due to weather, it is the presence passing through. Coldness follows them because they lack warmth, they lack life. That's why your breath becomes visible even when the season doesn't demand it. The air itself testifies that you are not alone. It surrounds you with signs heaven has chosen you to notice. The chill is not to scare you but to awaken you. It reminds you that heaven is pulling back the veil. The truth is no longer hidden. What has lingered unseen for so long can no longer conceal itself. My child, dreams are another battlefield where the house tries to reach you. Every strange vision, every heavy dream you've had since arriving here has roots in these walls. They project themselves into your rest. The strangers you see in your sleep are not random characters. They are remnants of what once lived, fought, and broke here. Their shadows crawl into your subconscious seeking a place to remain alive. But you awaken every time because your soul is guarded. Even in your sleep, heaven's hand shields you. That is why no matter how dark the dream feels, you still open your eyes. The light within you has never been defeated. My child, sometimes you feel eyes on you though no one stands near. That sensation crawling down your back is not madness, it is presence. They watch because they cannot touch, only observe. They attempt to intimidate, hoping fear will weaken your guard. But every time they look, they see your spirit burning like a flame. That fire unsettles them. You may feel uneasy at times, but remember, the unease is proof of their defeat. They reveal themselves through their restlessness. If they truly held power, they would not need to hide. The very fact they hide shows heaven has chained them. My child, the stairs of this house are not ordinary either. They rise and fall like a memory of someone who once walked them in despair. That's why climbing feels heavier than it should. Each step creaks as though resisting you. The resistance is not physical, it is spiritual. The house remembers who fell on those very steps and tries to echo their story into your life. But your story is different. Where others fell, you will rise. Where others broke, you will stand strong. The pattern ends with you. No stair, no shadow, no curse will rewrite your destiny. My child, do you remember the moments when your belongings seemed misplaced? The key missing, the paper moved, the small item falling without cause? These are not mistakes, they are distractions. The presence in this house shifts your things to disturb your peace. They want you agitated, searching, doubting yourself. But every attempt exposes them further. Your angels record each act, and heaven watches every detail. Nothing they do escapes divine notice. And because it is recorded, their end is sealed. Their tactics may confuse for a moment, but they cannot change the outcome. My child, the roof above you carries voices too. At night, faint taps and dragging noises ripple across the ceiling. These are not rodents or branches. They are the restless, unable to settle. They gather above because they know light surrounds you below. They linger on the edges, hoping to slip through cracks. But they find no entry. Even the sound of rain here is different. It feels heavier, like each drop carries weight. That weight is the clash of heaven cleansing the roof where shadows try to linger. Every storm that passes shakes them further away. My child, the windows you look through are not only for your sight. They have become mirrors through which others try to peer in. That is why you sometimes sense movement outside though nothing is there. The curtains flutter when no wind exists because something brushes past them. Invisible hands try to mark their presence. But those same hands tremble at divine light. Each time you open a window, you release some of the heaviness. The air shifts because heaven allows release. Even the smallest action is being used to cleanse. This battle is happening quietly, but it is already being won. My child, you must know this house is trembling because your presence is breaking its silence. It was once a safe place for shadows, but now it has become a battlefield they cannot control. Every strange sound, every flicker of light, every sudden chill is not just an attack, it is proof of exposure. They have nowhere left to hide. The truth is forcing them into the open. What they intended for your fear is turning into their downfall. What they tried to use against you is now strengthening you. The very walls they cling to will reject them. This house will no longer be their prison, it will be their end.